Welcome to Metaphysical Soul Speak. I'm your host, Allanna Fox Starks. Hey guys, I hope you're having a really wonderful New Year's Eve. It's the eve of New Year's Eve. I hope that whenever and wherever you are in this world, you are well aware of the fact that our Ascension symptoms they're just hitting us fast and rapid right now. The people that are still sleeping, they're just thinking, I must be sick, but how odd that I don't have a fever. I'm congested today. Not terrible, but I mean, it's been weird. It's been a weird day. I know all of my windows are covered with volcanic ash today. They're very, very fine particles, and for hours in the morning, I had my window open because I was burning up hot again with energy, not with anything other than energy. See, there we go. Sorry about that, guys. So I slept at 5 in the morning, woke up at 9:30, wide awake. 4.5 hours. Actually, maybe a little bit more. Maybe about 5 hours I had. Maybe 4:30, something like that. And I'm like, well, I must be tired. I'm never up at 9:30. This is for people that are normal. Why am I living a normal life suddenly? I went back to bed, tossed and turned for an hour and a half. I said, oh, forget this. And I got up, I made my bed, I got dressed. I thought, well, I'm going to surprise my kid. So I walk out and my kid had just left. He was gone, and he was gone all day long. And I got Jasmine's reading done finally. And I got one down, 2 to go. And John, you know who you are. You gave me all the information for reading and did not pay me. That's why you didn't get your reading yet. So, but I still have all your information if you change your mind again or want your reading. You know who you are. And up next, we've got Riley and Ariel. I swear, in the next 48 hours, you guys will have your readings. And you guys are the last 2 of the year that I'm getting done. Finally. Yay! I'm so glad I did the reading, though, for Jasmine, because it was incredible. And it's the first time I've been able to almost kind of slightly tap the Akashic Records. And I've been wanting to know how to do that. And maybe I've been doing it all along and I didn't know I was. But hey, there's that. But I want you guys to be aware of all the Ascension symptoms you're having. Okay, so want you to realize that when you have these massive cosmic naps, because right after I got done with Jasmine's reading, I sat here and I wanted to listen to Cosmic Empress, and I listened about all of the lion beings on the planet, and I thought this is really cool because it's information I did not have. And I listened to it and I'm like, oh, this is really, really cool. And then I started to listen to another one of her videos and fell asleep right away. Like for 4 hours. So I'm doing the split sleep. So I can't even say that. Split sleep. Oh my God, I just made up one. A tongue twister, guys. Try it. Split sleep, split sleep, split sleep. It's impossible. Okay, I said it, but it's really hard. You got to really, really focus on it. Benjamin Franklin and I want to say Henry Ford maybe did this. Thomas Jefferson, I think. Some of the old guys that were here, they were enlightened-ish. Henry Ford, not as much maybe, but Benjamin Franklin is very well known for sleeping for 4 hours and getting up at 4 in the morning and going back to bed at 8 in the morning and sleeping until noon. I think Mark Twain might have did that, but Mark Twain slept a lot, and I think he got his inspiration from sleep the way that I do, and he wrote several of his books while laying in bed. Now, this is before we had laptops to plug in and you could just do that from your laptop. He would be so luxurious today if he were alive. God rest all their souls. But he would bring his typewriter to bed and type and then sleep and wake up and type more. And that's how I kind of feel my life has been for many months now, where I feel really, really sick. I need to go lay down and I have no fever. I can't explain why I'm sick. It's just a general malaise. And for a while I thought maybe I'm just really depressed. And I bought into that story for a few minutes. And I know, and for a while I was, and now I know for a fact I'm not depressed anymore. That last shockwave that hit us from the supernova just knocked out all my depression. And I know that I'm absolutely not depressed any longer. I know that I am, I'm just suffering from the cosmic rays radiation, basically. I don't know if you guys are aware of it when it hits, but if you are sensitive to it, you're really sensitive to it. So if you're having these days where you're just like, everything's fine, all of a sudden my ears hurt like terribly. I have rhinitis and I can't stop blowing my nose randomly, even though there's not really, my room is clean. I don't think the eucalyptus are blooming at this time of year. Suddenly I'm out of control, running my nose day and night like a faucet, like I got to change a washer or something. I don't know. It's what it feels like. It's just constant. And today, thank you God, it was better. I think that a lot of it is anything to do like with that, arthritis, pain in your spine, pain in your joints. All of it is the new Ascension symptoms. Falling asleep at the drop of a hat like you have narcolepsy, even though you've never had narcolepsy in your life. All of this is pretty much what's going on with the Ascension symptoms. I've had like this weird drainage out of my ears, like my eardrum was popped or something. And I know it's not true. I can hear fine. Everything's fine. But I keep having like pain in my mastoid process, which is the weird little bone that's shaped like a little tiny boob behind your ear. And it's really hard. It's like a hard protrusion. And I get pain in those lately a lot. And I've been getting tinnitus. Before, I'd have tinnitus that would last for weeks on end. And then I'd only notice it when there was a break in it. Now I don't have tinnitus, but I have moments where it's like, and then it's just gone. And you're like, that was crazy. Like, I lose all sense of hearing, and then that. The eyesight being blurred is over. I'm now having for a couple weeks now, and I would dare say it's because of the volcanic ash, the fine particulate matter in the air. I've been having these weird, junk in my eyes, and I think it's just because it's from what's going on outside, where I live in particular. But I want you guys to be aware of your symptoms and what's happening and see what's going on with the people around you. These are ascension and awakening symptoms. Now, the detox thing that is going to be happening with all of us, our first 3 chakras are going to be activated to begin that detox process, especially if you have a Pleiadian helper and guide. That person's already been with you. And what's funny is I went to Michael Love's YouTube channel, which I don't listen to often because it's just a robot voice, and it's completely ridiculous that he doesn't channel live or that he doesn't write it down and then read it, with his own personal voice. That's really, I find very annoying. But anyway, Michael Love, I went to his channel and I listened to him today. Well, not him, but his robot helper. And he was saying that the Pleiadians are almost done here, the physical being Pleiadians. Their mission is complete in 2020, and that we've done really good. We're ahead of schedule. And what did he say? Something about Did he say something about detoxing? No, but I think he might have said something about the helper people. And now I can't remember. It's something I said yesterday, and he put out the video today, and it's almost a similar message to what I was getting. It's not identical, but it's similar. So anyway, the detox symptoms are going to include anything from possibly the runny nose might be part of it, and also breathing stuff out of your lungs, like being congested because you're detoxing through your lungs. Some of you will be detoxing through your bowels. That's not fun at all. And more of you will probably be detoxing, like suddenly you have to pee a lot because you're detoxing through urine. So drink a lot of water, get a lot of rest, do what you need to do. Whatever food you're guided to eat right now. I mean, celery is very detoxing. I love celery. That's why Jesus picked that one out of my head the other day, because I've been eating a lot of celery. I've been, when I come home, when I buy celery, I've been chopping it and putting it in water. So we just pull it out and it's always crisp. And then I cut the tops, I rinse off the tops and I cut them and I just put them in a big bag and I throw them in the freezer, so that the leaves of the celery I could chop and put in soups and sauces. And so I don't waste any part of the plants. I love celery. That's what Jesus was like saying the other day. Just a piece of celery is not going to raise your vibration. And that's a height of spiritual moral laziness. I can't believe he said that. And I know he's taking some of these phrases out of my head. They pluck stuff from your head and it's like crazy. But you got to do the work. And the work is not going to work you without your help. You know what I mean? You've got to do your effort. Like imagine yourself at a higher vibration. Ask to be at a higher vibration. Meditate. Breathe deep. Feel your connection and oneness with other people and with nature. Pet cats consciously. Smell flowers consciously. Be mindful in your every waking moment. Now, somebody did request that I talk about mindfulness. I think that was you, Emerald. I'm not really sure now who said it, but I'm going to have to do a show on mindfulness in the coming new year. I think that's going to be a New Year's issue. I have a lot of people that have been trying to line up to become guests on the show. There was a podcaster that recently requested that I be a guest on her show, and she'll be a guest on my show. So I'm going to do a podcast exchange. I'm really excited about that. I'm probably going to, in the new year, appear on the Starseed Perspective with Jude Dekoff as well. So I'm excited about that. A lot of new fun things coming up in the new year. We have 2 more episodes to this season, and then it's over. Season 1 will be done very soon. I can't even believe I think today is 363 episodes. I can't believe my first episode, I think, was only 26 minutes. I couldn't think of what else to say. Now I can't shut up. So how far we've come. All right. Now I'm 13 minutes into the introduction and only have 30 minutes to do it because we're still recording. As you can tell, because this microphone tends to deepen my voice a bit. I already have a deep-ish voice, like an alto voice, but I know this microphone it alters me a little bit. I mean, it doesn't alter me, it just alters the sound of my voice. Can you imagine? Every time you put on a microphone, it alters you, and now. So disclosurenews.it basically just reported 30 hertz frequency and calm. HeartMath Institute just said, sorry, Jack, our website doesn't work today. There's no information. Dagnabbit. It's so irritating. So, A Course in Miracles today. In fact, before we get to that, I forgot. Hold on. We got to go back over to this other thing. Not a lot of world news today. There's a few things, though, that are very, very much worth noting. Okay. Let's see here. Oh, goodness. There we go. Okay, the Watchers. Okay, on watchers.news, let's see, there was only just a few things. The eruption in Russia is sending 20,000 feet into the air volcanic ash from the volcano Kliuchevskoy. Okay. So 20,000 feet in the air. So that's the upper atmosphere, just like my local volcano, Sangay. Maybe they're sending smoke signals to each other. Hey, Chet. Hey, how you doing? Boom. Oh, yeah, I'm doing good. Hey, boom. How's your wife? She's doing good. She's erupting also. Very nice. And then they set up more smoke signals over to Indonesia, and all the little ones will go over there, and the ones in Alaska, and they're like, oh, yeah, there's the kids. Yeah, there they are. Maybe that's all it is. Maybe they're just beings, and maybe they're a different form of life that we didn't consider, and now they're just saying smoke signals to each other because they're talking. Okay, maybe not. Maybe so. You never know. All right, a number of fires have been sparked by now, get this, dry lightning in East Gippsland, Australia. So that's always fun when that happens. This is what happened in Reading before the year that we had to evacuate because we thought paradise might burn down. Back then, it's like there's no rain, and then the lightning strikes, and bada boom, bada bing, there's a fire. And in one night, we had 1,000 fires in California that year, and this is now what's going on in Australia. So, my heart and prayers are there with you guys in Australia. I'm sorry, guys. I don't know what to tell you. Just please be safe. Keep your family, keep your pets. Like, if it looks like it might be coming away, put them in cages quick so you could grab them and run. You don't want to leave anything to chance at the last minute. Take the things that are the most important to you. Bring at least 2 changes of clothing and your baby pictures of your babies. The things that are really going to mean the most to you if you lose them. Seriously, with all those people being evacuated, you really, truly, you really know what's important to you when they say you get 1 suitcase each. And that's it. What do you take? What's the most important thing in the world to you? You grab, and you know what's important to you when you're faced with that situation. And I've been faced with that situation several times. And it's always important to me. The pictures and memories, sometimes the degrees, but you could always get a copy of that later for $20. So, it's usually the kid stuff, if you're a parent, and before, when I had to evacuate, I didn't have to evacuate, but we were on the verge of having to evacuate in Santa Barbara. I was in that fire where 600 homes burned, and it was about to hop over, and they got it out in time, thank God. And it was just all about I had a couple pieces of art, and I had photographs. Everything else could be replaced. I was like, oh, okay, my bicycle. I was going to put everything on my bicycle and then just take off on my bike. My bicycle is like super important to me. But okay, now, so not only is there one in Russia going off, in Indonesia, it's sending volcanic ash 10,000 feet up into the air, Anak Krakatau in Indonesia. Now, in Chiang Rai, Thailand, across 3 provinces, there's been a lot of damage from hailstorms, severe hailstorms. It looks like they've got a couple inches of snow on the ground, guys. And this is in Thailand. Now, there are some points in Thailand that are very, very high up. I've never heard of Chiang Rai. I have, of course, heard of Chiang Mai. And up in the mountains, it does snow. It's what the tigers like. They like to be able to go down in the jungle, but to also go up to where it's cold and snowy. So that's why there's so many tigers there, because they love that. Speaking of cats. But Chiang Rai, in 3 provinces, they had trees down, lots of damage. I don't think anyone has died yet, thank God. In Delhi, they recorded their coldest day on record since 1901. And oh my God, you guys, they were at 2.8 degrees Celsius. For those of us who are Celsius challenged, that is 37 degrees Fahrenheit. Now, at 32 degrees Fahrenheit, That's freezing level, and if it rains, they've got snow in Delhi. So there may be 1 or 2 days away from that if it does get colder. There's rolling fog that has gone through India, in that part of India where their visibility is low. All flights have been canceled. A lot of the traffic is jammed up. They can't see. They're freaking out. They don't have this. This is not for Delhi, not even by a little bit. So this is stuff that if you come from some of the places I've lived in, it's normal. But if you're not used to this, this is freaky. This is like you start to question, especially you're in Thailand, you're getting this hailstorm, and all the volcanoes are going off around the world, and heavy snowfall in Mexico. You know what I mean? Like all this stuff. It's like, wow, this is crazy. Freezing rain and heavy snow throughout the U.S. I know in Texas it's gotten very cold, even though I don't think they got snow, but even in Nebraska they got a lot of snow. And it's funny, I looked at the weather map, and the one part of the weather map, it looked like there was nothing over Nebraska, so it was like a quick little break when I saw that weather map. But other than that, it's honestly, it just feels like an end of the world situation, doesn't it? It's not, though. We're gonna raise up. We're gonna go to the fifth dimension, and we're gonna bring heaven on earth, and everything's gonna be back to normal. We're just not there yet, but we're gonna get there. We are in A Course in Miracles.org for the Foundation of Inner Peace, ACIM.org, lesson 202, and there's a consistent idea running throughout all of the review lessons, and this is what it is. I am not a body. I am free, for I am still as God created me. And our review for today in lesson 202 is taken from lesson 182. I will be still an instant and go home. I will be still an instant and go home. Why would I choose to stay an instant more where I do not belong when God himself has given me his voice to call me home? I am not a body. I am free, for I am still as God created me. Now I'm going to give you guys my spin on this lesson. Basically, you can bring heaven on earth whenever and wherever you are, just by calling in the peace of God into your heart and accepting that for yourself. And don't accept any less. You deserve more. You deserve to have more, be more, and do more with your life. And the only way you're going to get to any of the things that you need to get to is just connecting, mindful. Be mindful. Just connect for 10 minutes a day. Go somewhere near you. Go to a place where it's green. Go to a place where you can smell the scent of the fresh cut grass or the pine trees or the flowers. Connect with all of your senses to nature. Connect olfactory, smelling the scents of nature. Connect with, like I love to, even to pet horses. The scent of their fur is really sweet. The scent behind a dog's ears, especially if it's a clean dog. But have you ever noticed that the scent behind a dog's ears, it's like more sweet? It's a very sweet smell. Or connect with the scent of the rain. There's like a scent of ozone in the air. I love that. That negative ions in the ozone. It's just like, it feels so refreshing and renewed. It's like it renews and resets the atmosphere. Barring that, go get a piece of fruit and smell that. That, especially if it's winter and you can't really go out to the greener areas right now. But there's something there's something you can do to go out. I mean, and if it's cold and there's snow, get bundled up and go walk in the snow. Hear the crunching of the boots as your boots crunch the snow. And hear the sound the snow makes as the wind comes up. You hear the wind when you hear the snow fall and hit the other snow. And there's like that sound, you just can't mistake it for anything else. You know what it is. And you know what I'm talking about if you live in a snow-filled area. I love that. And look at the visuals, the white, the way it blankets everything and makes everything so covered. And it's like it renews the ground. Everything just looks fresh, virginal. There's no dirt. Everything is just pure and clean. I love that. And you breathe in the coldness and you just imagine it's just filling you up with purity. And it's almost like an electrical sense. Even though it seems like a very feminine thing to me, at least to me. Snow feels very feminine. It's harsh and it's passive. And it's receptive. I mean, it gives way. You can lay in snow and make snow angels. You can make snowmen. Last night, I had a memory of when I made a little snowman about 1.5 feet high off of the snow on our deck when my oldest child, when he was really little, like a year and a half old. And as the snowman melted, he cried, and I had to hold him in my arms and rock him back and forth while he mourned the loss of his snowman because he connected with it. I even brought part of the snow in, and he could feel it in his little hands. And he cried and cried and cried, and then every year wanted to have a snowman that died. And then he had to have sheets on his bed when we got them Christmas sheets. Back in the day when we could do stuff like that. And he got Christmas sheets with snowman on them. He said, I have to have the snowman because I have to love them and protect them always with my love. And I remembered this, and I started bawling my head off, and I mourned the loss of my children not being babies anymore because they were so sweet and so precious. And they turned to me to have them sit in my lap while I rocked them back and forth and told them how much I loved them. And they, my oldest, he's an adult. He moved to California. I haven't seen him in almost 2 years. My youngest is with me, but he doesn't need me to hold him on my lap and rock him back and forth. He's practically grown by now. And, so I was kind of mourning the loss of that. And I'm like, wow, that was a really good memory. And it brought a lot of sadness, but it was more of a sentimentality and that nostalgia feeling of a very simpler time in my life. And so it was nice to have the memory and how sweet it was and how poetic. My oldest has the heart of a poet, and he always has. I'd have to read him sad things that touched his heart, and he'd cry his heart out. And then when he was done crying, he'd say, read it again, Mom. And it's like, oh my God, you're killing me, Smalls. So you're killing me, but this is too much. I can't take it. I'm crying so hard, my eyes are swelling shut, man. It's like the 4th time on the Giving Tree or the I Love You Forever. Oh my God, these books. I mean, I kept hiding I Love You Forever, and he would look and look and look and find it. Read it again. It's like, I freaking hate this book. I hate it because it makes me cry constantly, and I can't stop bawling my head off, and I cry for days. I'm too sensitive. But I'm grateful that I had those days with my children. And so, I don't know, if you guys start getting nostalgia memories, well, When I come back, we're going to read the Spirit's book, baby, right after this message. If you haven't heard about Anchor, it's high time you did. It is the absolute easiest way to make a podcast. First of all, it's absolutely free. Second of all, they have creation tools that allow you to record and edit your podcast right from your phone or your computer. You guys have known that I've been doing this for 8 months using the Anchor.fm app right on my cell phone, and I have done it everywhere, right? I have recorded this in my living room, my bedroom, little cafes in Quito, Ecuador, all over Cuenca. It's so absolutely easy to make your podcast, and editing is just a snap. Anchor also will distribute your podcast for you, and it took me about 2.5 months to become syndicated, and now I'm available on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and many more, and so can you. You can make money from your podcast also, and there's no minimum requirement. You get paid from your very first listener. It is everything that you need to make a podcast all in one place. So please, if you are interested in making a podcast of your very own, do not hesitate to start with Anchor. Download the free Anchor app or go to anchor.fm to get started today. Metaphysical Soul Speak is run on sponsors and listener support. This means listeners like you. If you are so inclined to support my efforts and my little podcast, please visit me at anchor.fm/metaphysical and pledge an amount of your choosing today. Thank you. Alright guys, this is a reading of the Spirit's book. This is part 16. Can you believe we've been reading this book for 4 months? But it's pretty cool. So if you're reading a book in your day-to-day life, or 2 or 3 books, well, this is just another book you're reading, but very, very slow. Consider it a book on tape, if you will. So, in the Spirit's book by Allan Kardec, he published this in Paris in 1857, as you recall. It created a lot of controversy, but not before it leaked out to most of the world, especially Brazil. And then it's translated into Spanish from the Portuguese, and it was also translated from the French to the Portuguese and then to English. So bear with me when sometimes I don't understand a word, because it's like it says T7E, and that means the. I mean, some of the translation is just crazy. So I'm working on it the best I can when I come across a crazy typo. But chapter 11 is where we left off, and this says the 3 reigns, R-E-I-G-N-S, like queendoms or kingdoms. The 3 reigns. And they are described as, number 1, minerals and plants. Number 2, animals and men. And number 3, metempsychosis. Something I've never heard about. What the hell is that? Well, we're going to find out soon. I don't know. I don't know how soon. Maybe tonight, maybe next week. I don't know. Depends on how many questions he asked and how long-winded he got this part of the book. All right, so it looks like he did get a little bit long-winded in part of this already. Starting already. Okay. So we're at the first section, minerals and plants. And as you recall, Allan Kardec asked several mediums throughout Paris, France in 1856 and 1857. He asked them questions, like 1,000 questions. And all the mediums did not know each other. He went from house to house, 5 different houses, 6 mediums, something like that. And they all had the same answer for him. And they even drew pictures that were similar. I mean, it was crazy. He was like, oh my gosh, this must be real, because I proved it. And this is how he proved it, was through this book. But just because you prove the spirits are real and the communication is real and that the mediums themselves are not fake, does not prove that the spirits giving you the information is accurate. When I asked God, this book is 92% accurate. So because of that, we continue on. So keep it in mind as we go through this, that maybe 8% of the information isn't 100% accurate. But 92 is good, so that's pretty good. In the background, you're going to hear a lot of fireworks because it's New Year's Eve over here in Cuenca, Ecuador. And this is what we do on the New Year. And my friends just invited us to go to Turi, which is this mountain that overlooks the whole city. So again, we're going to have like massive, just everywhere you look, fireworks, fireworks, fireworks. And we're really excited about that. I'm really looking forward to it. I love lighting stuff on fire. Okay. We're at the minerals and plants section. Question 585. What do you think of the division of the natural world into 3 reigns? The mineral, the vegetable, and animal. To which some naturalists add a 4th class, vis-a-vis the human species. Or that other division of the world into 2 classes, the organic and the inorganic. Which of these divisions is to be preferred? And the Spirit's answer. They're all good. As to which is best, that depends on your point of view. From the point of view of matter, there are only inorganic and organic beings. From the moral point of view, there are evidently 4 degrees. With not have an opinion at all, people. I'm just kidding. All right, so Allan Kardec, he writes his own little 2 cents here. He says, these 4 degrees are in fact distinguished by well-marked characteristics, although their extremes seem to blend into each other. Inert matter, which constitutes the mineral reign, possesses only mechanical force. Plants, composed of inert matter, are endowed with vitality. Animals, composed of inert matter, endowed with vitality, and also have a sort of instinctive intelligence limited in its scope, but giving them the consciousness of their existence and of their individuality. Man, possessing all that is found in plants and animals, is raised above all the other classes by special intelligence without fixed limits, which gives him the consciousness of his future, the perception of extra material things, and the knowledge of God. Halfway through that, I was wondering how good the weed was in France in 1857. I'm just saying. All right, question 586. Are plants conscious of their existence? And the spirits say, no, they do not think. They have only organic life. Wow. See, again, 92% of this stuff is accurate. Remember how recently I did announce that they discovered that when you cut grass, it screams. You probably can't hear it over the mower, but grass does emit. When you cut a plant, it screams. It reacts. I'm not saying that's thinking, but there's a consciousness there. It's not just organic life. I think there's a little bit more, but they didn't know that then. So, you only know what you know till you don't know it anymore, You don't know what you don't know until you know. Oh, darn, I didn't know that. All right, so question 587. Do plants feel sensations? They suffer when they are mutilated. And the spirits say, plants receive physical impressions which act upon matter, but they have no perceptions. Consequently, they do not feel pain. I mean, they don't have a nervous system, but they do feel emotional pain. I mean, I had a tree spirit in my house very angry because his son had died. The little baby tree came up. He said he himself was dying and he wanted to make sure that his offspring would be okay. And he had 2 trees and my husband accidentally ran over one and killed it. And that tree spirit haunted us for weeks. So don't tell me plants don't feel pain. I think the larger life inside plants, like the trees that are 200 years old, they know you're there. They have a consciousness. I mean, I've taken enough mushrooms and acid to know. They know we're there. Anyway, all right, moving right along. 588. Is the force which attracts plants towards each other independent of their will? And the spirits say, yes, for they do not think. It's a mechanical force of matter that acts upon matter. They could not resist it. Question 589. Some plants, as for instance the mimosa and the dionaea, have movements which give evidence of their possessing great sensitiveness and in some cases a sort of will, as in the case of the latter, whose lobe seeks the fly that lights upon it in order to suck its juices, and even seem to get a snare for it in order to kill it. Are these plants endowed with the faculty of thought? Have they a will? And do they form an intermediate class between the vegetable and the animal natures? Are they points of transition from one to the other? And they answer, everything in nature is transition, from the very fact that everything is different, and that everything, nevertheless, is linked together. Plants do not think and have consequently no will. The oyster that opens its shell and the zoophytes do not think. They have only a blind natural instinct. I kind of think this might be true. I mean, I don't think that oysters have emotions, but I feel like, I don't know. It's possible they do. They don't even have eyes, but when I look at octopi, I know that they're aliens. They're ET from a different world, and they are absolutely intelligent, and they do have emotions, and it's conveyed in the color of their skin because it keeps changing depending on their mood. So there you go. Allan Kardec adds to that, the human organism furnishes us with examples of similar movements that take place without any participation of the will, as in the organs of digestion and circulation. The pylorus closes itself at the contact of certain substances, as though to refuse them passage. It must be the same with the sensitive plant, the movements of which do not necessarily imply perception, and still less will. Yeah, okay, you know what? I think that this is possibly true because the plant itself does not have all that in place, but the spirits, the nature spirits, and basically the fairy folk that take care of the plant, they're the ones with the emotions, and they're the invisibles. Invisibles. I think that's what it is. Maybe that tree spirit was a spirit. It wasn't the tree itself. It was maybe not the spirit or soul of the tree, but rather the being that took care of that tree. I mean, but I've had insects rat out my husband when he knocked down their nest. I've had insects come to complain to me, and they had to yell at me because they're like, can't you keep your man in place? And it was a colony of wasps, and I think the wasp hierarchy is that females are in charge, just like bees. And they have females they have more power than the males. And so they were complaining to me, why can't you keep your man in order, in line? And it kind of made me laugh. It was like, so to me, kind of preposterous. Like, we're equal partners in this relationship. What do you mean, why can't I keep him in line? And I had to tell him, I'm like, the wasps are complaining to you, or to me about you, because I can't keep you in line. And he's like, oh my God. He goes, I feel so bad. He knocked down a tree that was, the tree itself was dead. We didn't see the wasp nest at all. And he knocked it down. They all came out and stung him. And he had to run in the house. He had to take his sweatshirt off. He'd shake it. He was freaking out. He's like, oh my God, I can't believe this. And wasps, they can sting you over and over again. They don't sting you once and die. They don't die at all from it. And then they came to me and they didn't hurt me at all. And they're like, we know you didn't do anything, but this guy, you got to keep him in line. He's your man. And they knew that. I'm like, how do they know that? I don't know. Communication with insects is really bizarre. All right, moving right along. Question 590. Is there not in plants an instinct of self-preservation, which leads them to seek what may be useful to them and to avoid what would do them harm? And the answer, you may call it, if you will, a sort of instinct. That depends on the extension you give to the word, but it is purely mechanical. When, in chemical operations, you see two bodies unite together, it is because they suit one another. That's to say, there is an affinity between them, but you do not call that instinct. Question 591. In worlds of higher degree, are the plants like the other beings of a more perfect nature? In And they say, everything in those worlds is more perfect, but the plants are always plants, as the animals are always animals, and as the men are always men. Interesting. I wanted... okay, I gotta check on my time. I'm just like so worried about the time, it's gonna cut me off. I like doing it this way, to be honest, but the only thing I don't like is I can't tell the time. All right, we're 13 minutes into this part, and then we'll record another part. So, okay, I have mentioned this in the past year, but I wanted to talk to you guys about this really quick. Grandma Marion's friend Alice, who was my husband's cousin. All right, so how do I say this? She had a dream where she went to a world where the beings who walked around were the plants. They were the vegetables. And they were really curious about her because she traveled in her spirit body form, but they could see that she was like a bipedal, that she's a humanoid, right? And she's walking around their world, and they were like, wow. And they were walking around their world too. And they had like little plant feet. They were plants. And there were no other beings in their world, only plants. And maybe animals, but not men. There were no humanoids, and it was just like a plant world. And they were very high vibrational beings, and they were very spiritually advanced. And they were asking her, like, what do you do? Like, how did you get here? Who are you? They're asking her all these questions. And she's like, well, I have a very high vibration because I'm a vegetarian. And she can't get the word out. And they're like, what? What were you going to say? And she's like, well, I'm vegetarian. She was attributing her high vibration to that. And they're like completely horrified. They like jumped back away from her. They were absolutely horrified, and they started crying. They were really upset. And she's like, oh my God, I didn't mean to upset you. In our world, vegetables don't have any feelings. They're like, how could you say that? You don't know that. Vegetables do have feelings. We are vegetables. This is what we are. And we are very much aware, and we have feelings. Like, how could you say that? And they're really, 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 really upset. And she had to apologize. And she's like, I think I better leave because I don't want to hurt you further. I really love you, and I'm sorry. I will never eat you, though. If I come back, I will never eat you, right? And they were terrified of her. The way the rest of the normal world is terrified of seeing clowns because they might eat us. Clowns, sharks, whatever. But I trust sharks more than clowns. That's just hashtag just saying. But and she woke up like going, wow, literally that shocked her. She was like, well, I thought that plants had no consciousness, which is funny. How can you eat a bunch of plants thinking they have no consciousness and it's going to raise your own consciousness? That's kind of strange. I don't know. Now I just caught that, and I never thought about that way. I thought about it that way before. If you eat animals that have consciousness, I mean, your consciousness is higher than theirs usually. Sometimes not. But, I don't know. If you're consciously in collusion with them, and they already gave up their body, and they know they're going to give up their body for you, and you're going to eat them, if you're in conscious awareness of it, and you have the animal with you, and you send them love, and they send you love, it does raise your vibration. But you have to do it right. You have to have gratitude and gratefulness. If you feel guilty and horrible, it's going to lower your vibration, so don't do it. But if you're called to be a vegetarian or a vegan, do it. So I wanted to bring that up again, just because it's been such a huge controversy in the spiritual community. It's like the one thing that seems to divide so many people. All right, moving right along. Animals and men. And now I'm going to check the time because I want to make sure. I do not want to run out of time. We're at 17 minutes. So, yeah, about 8:12. I'll look back. So, 12 minutes. About 8:13. I'll stop. The time thing is ridiculous. Okay, animals and men. Question 592. If we compare man with the animals in reference to intelligence, it's difficult to draw a line of demarcation between them. Hear my phone. For some animals are, in this respect, notoriously superior to some men. Yeah, see, that's exactly what I was just thinking. And for this reason, I don't eat elephants. I think that's true also, but all right. So, is it possible to establish such a line of demarcation with any precision? And the spirits say, your philosophers are far from being agreed upon this point. Some of them will have it that man is an animal. Others are equally sure that the animal is a man. They're all wrong. Man is a being apart who sometimes sinks himself very low, or who may raise himself very high. As regards his physical nature, man is like the animals and less well provided for than many of them. For nature has given to them all that man obliged to invent with the aid of his intelligence for his needs and his preservation. His body is subject to destruction like that of the animals, but his spirit has a destiny that he alone can understand because he alone is completely free. Poor human beings, you debase yourselves below the brutes. Do you not know how to distinguish yourselves from them? Recognize the superiority of man by his possessing the notion of the existence of God. Okay, that is but I think there's some spiritual masters among some of the animals, because I think that they are aware that they are God incarnate in some cases. I won't say every animal, but some animals seem to kind of really get into it. Like Siegfried and Roy, they've got white tigers that meditate with them. You know, it seems to me that those white tigers, I mean, they might be Lyran or Spica beings. They might be from, planet Vega or something. They might have just incarnated as tigers, but they're really like high up there in vibration. Question 593. Can the animals be said to act only from instinct? And they say, that again is a mere theory. It is very true that instinct predominates in the greater number of animals. But do you not see some of them act with a determinate will? This is intelligence, but of a narrow range. And so to that, Kardec adds, it is impossible to deny that some animals give evidence of possessing, besides instinct, the power of performing compound acts, which denote the will to act in a determinate direction and according to circumstances. Consequently, there is in them a sort of intelligence, but the exercise of which is mainly concentrated on the means of satisfying their physical needs and providing for their own preservation. There is among them no progress, no amelioration, no matter what the art that we admire in their labors. What they formerly did, that they do today, neither better nor worse, according to constant forms and unvarying proportions. The young bird, isolated from the rest of its species, nonetheless builds its nest on the same model without having been taught. If some of the animals are susceptible of a certain amount of education, their intellectual development, always restricted within narrow limits, is due to the action of man upon a flexible nature, for they themselves have no power of progressing, but that artificial development is ephemeral and purely individual, for the animal, when left again to himself, speedily returns within the limits traced out for it by nature. What a load of crap. Okay. All right. So, well, animals do have to worry about their survival on a pretty constant basis. I know that the people who are the earthers, the people who are not starseeds, and by the way, there's only 46% of the population on the planet right now are originally from Earth, and the rest of us are starseeds. According to Cosmic Empress, who just read the Akashic Records like a week ago, she wanted to see what the percentages were. 3 times I've tried to watch this video, and I keep falling asleep to it because her energy, there's something, the high vibration in the, or maybe it's just weird timing with the cosmic rays. But anyway, I keep falling asleep during this. But so I'm gonna have to, and then the 3rd time my phone just shut off. So I'm gonna have to try it another time. But she says that the people that were Earthers, the original Earthers, started as amoebas and lifted themselves up out of the muck and the mire to become the human beings that they are today. And some animals, they're dogs that are masters for dogs, dog masters, and there's cat masters. You guys know, if you know cats, some of them are just dumb as a rock, and some of them are cat masters. You know, some of them are absolutely like 100%, like, you know, maybe they were bipedal in another life. And so, I do beg to differ with that, because I feel like they do learn and grow, and they spiritually become aware, and they slowly become aware of themselves, and eventually they will come to the point where their next life, they're going to be a human for the first time. And you might have met people that were human for the first time. It's very possible. And they still have very dog-like qualities, or very wolf-like qualities, or cat-like qualities. Or maybe they're very dolphinish. You know, maybe they were whales before. But whales and dolphins are high vibrational beings. There's like a water world. I want to say it's called Mitaka in, I think it's in the Pleiades star system. But this is like, you know, take some of this information with a grain of salt. It was 162 years old. 92% of it is accurate. But I know that I used to have a dog named Roy, I'm pretty sure. My cat named Narcissus, she was extremely, like, functional. Like, she'd open the door, turn off my alarm, answer my phone, get angry, and run away from home when I didn't share my Thai food. You know? You have cat food over there. She gets so mad, she'd run away for 2-3 days. Made me cry. We moved into dogs, and she just left. But she punished me for days. She would look out the window, or look into the window as I'm sleeping, and swish her tail angrily back and forth for days. She was in a snit for days, and then she left. So, you know, it's just like, you know, I know I've met animals that are masters, or spiritual masters. And I've always had animals that are with me that are absolutely, they're very high in their order of animals. And, you know, they're about ready to jump off. Now, Grandma Marion said that they have an oversoul, or a group soul, for all animals. So it's like a dog oversoul. And some dogs can be spiritual masters, but I think she was saying that she thinks that, like, for example, all dogs will jump off and become cats, all cats jump off and become human or whatever, but it's like the whole group goes together, and I don't think that's true. I think individuals can rise above, just like humans can rise above and become spiritual masters. It's not like we all have to get to a certain level and then now, bam, we're all Jesus. No, because Jesus was here alive and well, and the greatest avatar of all time 2,000 years ago, while the rest of us are like, huh, what's spirituality, huh, you know? So I kind of feel like, take some of this information with a grain of salt, and let your instinct be your guide, let your higher guidance be your guide in this. All right, let me see where I'm at. I'm going to run out the clock on this half hour. All right, yeah, I got like 2 more minutes. We could do one quick question, and then we're going to go to the next. I'm going to do the second recording here. Okay. Question 594. Have animals a language? Spirits say, if you mean a language formed of words and syllables, no. But if you mean a method of communication among themselves, yes. They say much more to one another than you suppose, but their language is limited, like their ideas, to their bodily wants. And follow-up. There are animals who have no voice. Have they no language? And they say, the spirits say, they answer one another by other means. Have men no other method of communication with one another than by speech? And the dumb, what do you say of them? The animals, being endowed with the life of relation, have means of giving one another information and of expressing the sensations they feel. Do you suppose that fishes have no understanding among themselves? Man has not the exclusive privilege of language, but that of the animals is instinctive and limited to the scopes of their wants and ideas, while that of man is perfectible and lends itself to the conceptions of his intelligence. So Kardec adds to that, it is evident that fishes emigrating in masses, like the swallows that follow the guide that leads them, must have the means of giving one another information, or arriving at a common understanding, and of concording measures of general interest. It may be that they are gifted with a sense of vision sufficiently acute to allow of their distinguishing signs made by them to one another, or the water may serve them as a vehicle for the transmission of certain vibrations. It is evident that they must have some means, whatever these may be, of comprehending one another, like all other animals that have no voice, and that nevertheless perform actions in common. Should it then be deemed strange that spirits are able to communicate among themselves without having recourse to articulate speech? There you go. See you on the flip side. All right, I'm going to stop this and I'll be right back with the second half of Question 595. Have animals free will in regard to their actions? They are not the mere machines you suppose them to be, but their freedom of action is limited to their wants, and cannot be compared to that of man. Being far inferior to him, they have not the same duties. Their freedom is restricted to the acts of their material life. Question 596. Whence comes the aptitude of certain animals to mutate human speech, and why is this aptitude found among birds, rather, for instance, than among apes, whose conformation has so more analogy to that of a man? And the spirits say that aptitude results from a particular conformation of the vocal organs, seconded by the instinct of imitation. The ape imitates man's gestures. Some birds imitate his voice. Question 597. Since the animals have an intelligence which gives them a certain degree of freedom of action, is there in them a principle independent of matter? The spirits say, yes, and that survives their body. And follow-up question, is this principle a soul like that of man? And the spirits say, it is a soul, if you like to call it so. That depends on the meaning you attach to this word. But it is inferior to that of man. There is between the soul of the animals and that of man as great a difference as there is between the soul of man and God. Oh, isn't that ironic? Because didn't they say that we are God, aren't we? Like, we're part God. We're not, obviously, I can't create an orange tree growing out of my bed in 5 seconds, but like God could. But, All right, well, moving right along. Question 598. Does the soul of the animals preserve after death its individuality and its self-consciousness? Answer. It preserves its individuality, but not the consciousness of its me. The life of intelligence remains latent in them. And question 599. Has the soul of the beasts the choice of incarnating itself in one kind of animal rather than in another? And they say, no, it does not possess free will. That's what the spirits say. That might be true, but I think that God does move the individuals along in animal. I think, like, it's not up to the dog. It's up to God to move the dog up or move the cat up. And I don't know that dogs are superior to cats or cats are superior to dogs. I feel like, I don't know, maybe they move up to wolves, from dogs. I don't know. I don't know the way the hierarchy goes. Only God knows that. All right, so question 600. I can't believe we're already like 60% done with this book. All right. As the soul of the animal survives its body, is it after death in a state of erraticity like that of man? And the spirits say it is in a sort of erraticity because it is not united to a body, but it is not an errant spirit. The errant spirit is a being who thinks and acts of his own free will, but the soul of the animal has not the same faculty, for it is his self-consciousness, which is the principal attribute of the spirit. The soul of the animal is classed after its death by the spirits charged without work, and almost immediately utilized. It is not the leisure to enter into connection with other creatures. Okay, I remember being in heaven as an animal trainer. So I know for a fact that not only do they interact with man in heaven, they interact with themselves and other animals. They do. They know each other. And it's not to the same level that we are. That part is true, but again, we're just going to roll with it. But 92% accurate. No, okay, 601. Do animals follow a law progress like men? Question mark. And the spirits answer yes. And it is for this reason that in the higher world, 111, it says, what? Why would it say that? Okay. I think it means all. I don't even know why. Maybe it means in. Okay, yes. And it is for this reason that in higher worlds in which men are further advanced, the animals are more advanced also and possess more developed means of communication. But they are always inferior to man and subject to him, for they are for him intelligent servitors. Yeah, I okay. And what he says, Kardec says, there's nothing unreasonable in the statement. Suppose that our most intelligent animals, the dog, the elephant, the horse, were furnished with the bodily conformation appropriate to manual labor. What could they not do under the direction of man? Well, be caught if they're unicorns, who are higher advanced beings, as are the centaurs and the fawns. But okay, that's a whole other show. Question 602. Do animals progress like man through the action of their will or through the force of things? And the spirits say, through the force of things. This is why there is for them no expiation, of course. Yeah, they don't have a heaven and hell scenario. They just only, have heaven. Question 63. Have the animals in the higher world the knowledge of God? And the spirits say, no, man is a god for them, as spirits were formerly gods for men. They do too have a knowledge of God. The spirits don't really, I don't know. I know they have a knowledge of God, but it's not like we do, but they do have some semblance of it. They know it on some level. So, question 604. The animals, even the advanced ones of the higher worlds, being always inferior to man, it would seem as though God had created intellectual beings condemned to a perpetual inferiority, such as arrangement does not appear to be in accordance with the unity of design and of progress discernible in all his works. And the spirits say, everything in nature is linked together by an enchaining which your intellect cannot yet seize, and things apparent the most discrepant have points of contact at the comprehension of which man will never arrive in his actual state. He may obtain a glimmering of them through an effort of his intelligence, but it is only when that intelligence shall have acquired its full development and shall have freed itself from the prejudices of pride and of ignorance that he will be able to see clearly into the work of God. Until then, his narrowness of thought causes him to look at everything from a low and petty point of view, know that God cannot contradict himself, and that everything in nature is harmonized by the action of general laws that never deviate from the sublime wisdom of the Creator. Okay, follow-up question. Intelligence, then, is a common property and a point of contact between the soul of the beast and that of man? And the spirits say yes, but the animals have only the intelligence of material life. In man, intelligence gives moral life. I don't know, guys. Have you noticed that there has been immorality among animals? That's a really weird statement, I know, but I have seen videos of like penguins in the wild raping each other, dolphins, same thing. There has been some of the, animals used to seem so beautiful and innocent, and as man has progressed, so have the animals, and animals that were thought not to only be herbivores like apes, now turns out they eat squirrels. Chimpanzees eat squirrels, and it turns out so they eat animals and plants, so they're progressing too, and everything is progressing. I find it a little creepy. Some of these things, they're a little bit like, whoa, but I know that animals can love, and I know that animals can think to a certain extent. I think that they don't question their own morals. They don't have a sense of self-awareness the way that we do, but most of this is real and right, what they're saying, but some of it I feel is a little bit inaccurate, but maybe it was accurate for the time in which it was written, and now we are in a different time. Digital worlds, everything has progressed already, and we are just getting more and more progressive. All right.